A Scanner Darkly. You may not really know much about this movie, but you'd be surprised by the big name people that are involved with this film. I mean, looking at the cast, you got Keanu Reeves, Woody Harrelson, Winona Ryder, Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, these are people you normally don't expect to hear featured in an animated film. Even the director, Richard Linklater, is someone that, even if his name isn't really familiar, you definitely know some of his previous directing works like the Before trilogy, Dazed and Confused, School of Rock, even the recently acclaimed Boyhood. By the way, I want to mention that this is a Patreon request given to me by Simon Howells, just to give him a big thanks to his great support there. So with all these celebrities attached to this, will the movie shine as bright as the stars featured here? Or do these celebrities barely appear in animation for a reason? Let's find out. The story. As you can tell, this is another animated feature that's geared more for adults, and the central theme of this movie is all about drugs and substance abuse. It's set in a dystopian America where a very large portion of the population is taking a new and dangerous drug called Substance D, while surveillance has been put everywhere so that police can at least try to stop the war on drugs. The main focus is set on an undercover cop called Bob Arctor, who's also an addict of Substance D and hangs out with his junkie friends. The one thing I really do applaud the story for is keeping the realistic tone to show what drugs in general can do. It didn't add any weird jokes to pump up the comedy, nor does it lecture us about the consequences of drugs or treat them like they're the spawn of Satan to pump up the drama. This just shows us how druggies would just live their lives, what they have to deal with, how they try to hide from the police, even see through their eyes how they suffer from the side effects.
The next thing he knew, a creature from between dimensions was standing beside his bed, looking down at him disapprovingly.
You gonna read me my sins?
However, there is one important note about this film that will depend on the person if it's a pro or a con. Out of all the animated features I've had to sit through, this is one of the most complicated films to follow. Now, I'm not saying this as a bad thing, but it's just so hard to follow that after watching this, I had to literally read the movie through different descriptions online in order to understand what was going on in the first place. But the reasons why it was so difficult to go at the pace of the film are more considered flaws than anything else. First, the movie gets easily sidetracked. Sure, we mostly see Bob, but we follow him as an undercover cop, we follow him as a junkie, we see the side of his junkie friends, we try to know what happened and what's happening to Bob, the list goes on. Sure, I like what it's trying to do in concept, but it really doesn't help that while the audience try to figure out what's going on, the ending would throw as many plot twists as possible, leaving them absolutely confused. And second, the purpose of the story is very unclear. Since it stays very true to the original novel by Philip K. Dick, I'm not sure if the author wanted to make this just to tell a story, give out an anti-drug message, or explain some sort of conspiracy.
I don't know. Not that I'm aware of.
I can definitely see what the story is trying to do, and I love that it's trying to make something unique, but the way it executes it is like if it was on drugs. The animation. What it tries to pull off here is a very risky move in terms of animation, but the movie manages to make it work in order to emphasize the viewing experience. Now, this style of animation here is called interpolated rotoscope, where it's very similar to traditional rotoscope, but done digitally to have some smooth 2D effects on the animation. Think of it like the modern version of some of Ralph Bakshi's works like American Pop. Also, this is not Richard Linklater's first attempt at this. He started trying it out in his 2001 film Walking Life. But back onto A Scanner Darkly, the purpose of the animation is to give it more of a grittier feeling, something that looks like it came out of a comic book or a cover of a Grand Theft Auto game, which does help with the realistic and adult tone. It's also meant to show the effects of drugs whenever the characters are hallucinating or give the perception of a more distorted feeling, like everything doesn't seem to be sitting right. But the biggest use of the animation is when Bob and the other police officers would wear that special suit that always changes their appearance. And I don't mean one scene at a time. I mean that it's always changing looks, and it keeps on mixing each part of the body so it never stays with one simple style.
This man, whom we will call Fred, because that is the code name under which he reports the information he gathers, once within the scramble suit, cannot be detected by even the latest in voice and facial recognition technology.
If there is one small complaint I have with the animation, is that I wish it would go more into the drug side effects. It's what really makes the movie look interesting, and sometimes there are parts without it that feels like it's losing the point of even having the animation in the first place. But as it is, the animation is a very nice welcome to a modern attempt of rotoscoping. The characters. Other than the animation, the characters are the strongest points of the film. In order to help the tone of realism, the movie made sure to make the characters feel as human as possible. With Bob, he's an undercover cop that would go as a junkie as part of his job. But because he has been taking Substance D, it's now becoming a true double life for him, where he is both a cop and a drug user, and, of course, it's not a good combination. The movie also tries to give him some depth and complexity, but with the way the film explains itself, this is also very hard to follow, and there are good chances that you might miss a few parts about this guy. But then you have Bob's drug friends, who are not only easier to follow, but also some of the most interesting parts of the film. They're executed in a way that they represent a characteristic when taking drugs. You got Barris, who is the smart aleck that always gets ideas. There's Luckman, who's the more spastic one. Donna is the very sensitive girl, and Freck is the guy that's always hallucinating. Also, the acting here is just marvelous. Each actor brings their own charm to the character, and it really helps bring new life to the film, along with making them likable in their own way.
Oh my God, there's no telling what else they've bait and switched. Yeah, but if all of us go together, oh, they'll give them back. Oh, you bet they will. Oh, you bet they will. Let's just go as a team, okay?
Wait. Are you sure there are only 9 gears on this bike?
There are a few other characters here, like Bob's boss, Hank, and the scientists that are helping Arctur, but they aren't really as memorable as our main drug addicts. The story may be hard to understand, but the characters are for sure what you'll always remember from this. A Scanner Darkly was so close to be an adult animated masterpiece that you wouldn't find anywhere else like Waltz with Bashir, with some great modern rotoscoping animation and highly interesting characters. But because the story is just way too complicated to follow, it only takes it down a few levels to a really good movie. Not amazing, but still very fascinating to watch. Of course, this is definitely not something for kids, since they won't really understand what's happening here anyways, but if you're a Richard Linklater fan or someone who's interested in the study of drug abuse, then I highly recommend you check it out. You know, it's very rare when animation would take a look into a subject like this without saying, "Don't do drugs, kids, 'cause they're not cool." I mean, sure, this movie doesn't encourage drug use at all, but at least it doesn't hammer down the message as usual. Even if it's still a really good message to tell people. So, don't do drugs. And remember...
Yes, I'm allergic. And good excuses, something you never after all.
That's my complexion!
When you pound things, let's get wrecked! Go on, push, eject, protect yourself. Be the first one on your block to say, yeah, forget it, Doc.
That's the next one!
Hey guys! guys, this is AniMat. Once again, I would like to thank Simon for his amazing support on Patreon, which allowed him to get this request and give me an opportunity to go see A Scanner Darkly. And I really do have to say that I was actually this close to actually watch it a second time. It really was that complicated. Like, the first time I saw it, I was absolutely confused, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm just gonna read a bit of the description of what it's about, and then I'm gonna see it a second time to see if I can fully get it. Well, luckily, the descriptions I found, they were very good at explaining the movie, and, well, at least the plot of the movie. And so far, I do get about, like, 95% of the film. The other 5% is just understanding what is, like, if it's meant to tell a story, it's an anti-drug message, or if it's, like, a conspiracy thing. Like, it's rather confusing. But then again, I don't really know Philip K. Dick and his work, so I honestly don't really know. But anyways, now that A Scanner Darkly is done, it's time that we go and move on. What the hell? What the fridge is this? Meet me at the table? See it? Okay, anyways, it doesn't really matter since the next one is gonna be a Patreon request. Yes, it's gonna be another one. And this one is actually gonna come from Eric Pinheiro. I hope I get his name right. But anyways, if you guys would like to be like Simon and Eric, and you want to go and support my work, and you want to get some awesome rewards at the same time, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. Or, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and put in the animation hat, which, if I can ever find it... Where the fridge is it? I thought I had it some... okay, never mind. Anyways, just write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. I'll figure the animation hat problem later. But anyways, okay. So with all that said and done, what did Eric suggest to me? Well, I'm honestly a little bit scared about this one and really worried. Okay, like, here's the thing. I don't know what this movie is. I have never heard of it, and chances are you might not have heard of it either. I don't even know how to make, like, some kind of hint for you guys for this. But the reason why I'm worried and scared about it is because of the description that Eric gave me. When he suggests this movie to me, the only thing he said is that it's an animated film worse than Food Fight. Yeah, apparently that exists, so tune in next time, let's see what happens! It's gonna be fun! Oh boy. Where the heck is... Actually, wait, what is this? What is this?
Have a seat, kid.
What the...
Sit down.
What the fridge is going on?
You know exactly what's going on. Oh, good for you. You got another Patreon request while simultaneously shafting me on the side. What happened to you, kid?
Well, I'm sorry. I just can't predict these things, and...
This is the 5th time in a row that you shafted me for them bozos. And this is how you repay me? After all I've done for you?
Well, I don't know what else to say, but, wait. What do you mean?
Yeah, kid, ever since this whole classic review started, I was giving you some of the best movies you've seen. The Secret of Kells, Batman, South Park, the recobbled cut of The Thief and the Cobbler, Waltz with Bashir that you gave a perfect 10 to. They're way better than those schmucks told you to do.
Well... technically, yeah, that is true.
And you know what's the worst movie I gave you?
Cloudy with a Chance of...
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Sure, that movie was pure trash, but I did that as a favor for you. Let everything out of your system and all that. And you gotta admit, it's not as bad as that stupid Titanic movie with the octopus, or even that one you just announced about being worse than Food Fight. Really? Is this how those Patreon people think you?
Well, I guess.
Just come back to me, kid. We'll forget all about this Patreon nonsense and go back to them good old days where the next review is always a surprise. What do you say?
You know, I do miss the surprises. But I can't let them go!
Sure you can, kid.
I can't! Do you have any idea how far they're going to support me through there?
I never really bothered looking. All I know is that it's going right through your head.
Here.
Alright, let's see, Mamma mia, you gotta be kidding me.
And it's per month as well.
Per month? Alright, I see your point. Alright, let me think. Twice a month.
What?
Twice a month. You do one classic review for them Patreoners and another from me. That way, we all win. You like?
Well, it does sound good. But then again, it does sound like a lot of work. I mean, I still have all these other shows to do.
True. But didn't you say that you were almost done with that animation look-back thing?
Pretty much, yeah.
So we can start this thing next month once you get that out of the way.
Okay, but this is not a permanent thing. We'll only do this during the pattern of Patreon requests. Like, if I get 2, 3, 4, or more, like, in a row, then I'll bring you in for the double. Once that is done, we'll go back to a monthly basis with you.
Yeah, that sounds nice. So, we have a deal?
Well, I'm still not sure about this.
I could give you one reason that'll make you immediately say yes.
What's that?
Do this, and those crybabies who nag at you to have the movie they want to be reviewed will finally shut up.
It's a deal. How do I,
Yeah, just put me on your head.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to take off the,
Nah. It's actually pretty comfy.
Okay.
Now come on, we got some work to do.